Right, it is February 12th, our regular meeting, call to order. First up, roll call.
Carrie Brett,
Here.
Gretchen Ross. Here. Daniel Hewitt,
Here.
Peter Schuler. And Chris Castillo is not here.
All right, 1.2, approval of agenda.
Staff recommends approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I still second.
Any further discussion? Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Hewitt.
Aye.
Trustee Ross.
Aye.
Trustee Brett.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
1.3, public comment for closed session items. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Nope. Okay, we are closing, closed session, going into close. 6:01. 3.1, pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3.2, report on the session agenda.
The board passed the personnel document for February 2025 with corrections. And nothing else to report out.
4.1, correspondence, there's quite a few.
There are quite a few correspondence today, so let me just quickly paraphrase a few things that are on here, just to call attention. So the first one is a reminder that came from the California Department of Education. And the specific purpose of that was to notice the protection of immigrant families' rights to access public education in California. So there's been some questions around different news articles that have happened at the federal level versus a state level. And the California Department of Ed sent in January 21st that regardless, and this is educational code, that regardless of immigration status, all children have the right to a free and appropriate education. And that California considers schools to be a safe place. With that stated, I did find some really interesting information that, so when at your leisure, half of California students are members of immigrant families.
I thought that was amazing.
I know, and that 93% of those students of parents that have mixed status of immigration, 93% of their children are US citizens. With all of this stated, later in the agenda, we will talk over our administrative regulations, which we've had on the books since 2018. So it's not a new procedure, but just to make sure that everyone's aware that we do have procedures in place. If there ever were a question about giving information out on our children's privacy around immigration status. So we don't ask immigration status upon registration, nor can you in the state of California. So that was the first one. The second piece of correspondence that came was from a local seller, I guess I should say, someone who was selling some lots. And so because of the location of the lots, they had to notice the elementary school in which they would be, if they build homes. There are 8 tracts actually in the northern part of our town. I've included the information because it is public information of those tracts that will be divided up and sold. At this time, they do not have, I asked questions around, they had ideas of the dwellings that were occurring, if they were multifamily or single. They do not have that. This is really just a notification of the land being divided into the 8 tracts and eventual selling, which would eventually impact possibly property tax or developer fees in our area, depending on what they do with the land. So there you can see in the drawings here, the location of those. If you walk the town, you're gonna see lots of things happening, even more than in a long time, with buildings that are occurring and popping up for sure. The next one is the review of the first interim budget. So the County Office of Education has sent our first interim budget, and then they sent us a notification of the status of ours. So they are the fiscal oversight of our district, and so they have verified that they agree on our positive certification and our plan moving forward with looking at our possible reductions. We'll also talk about later in the board meeting today. That's that on correspondence.
All right, 4.2, public comment. At this point in the agenda, the board welcomes comments on matters of district interest.
Wait, don't we? Never mind.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to make a comment on matters of district interest? Seeing none, we will move on. 5.1, regular meeting minutes on January 8th.
Staff recommends approval of the meeting minutes of January 8th.
I move that we accept the minutes. A second.
Any further discussion? Trustee Hewitt?
Aye.
Trustee Ross?
Aye.
Trustee Fred? Trustee Schuler?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
6.1, associated body.
So our Associated Student Body and Parent Teacher Association is going to be presented by Principal Villalobos today. Due to the weather, we thought it would be kind to have our mom and our student who's presenting stay and not have to kind of traverse the weather. But they did provide Ms. Villalobos with a summary that she will kind of paraphrase, read from, and take it away, Ms. V.
Thank you. So instead of Ray, you'll have Mrs. Villalobos here. So our fun ASB group is wrapping up a final rotation through the leadership class. They've gotten to rotate. All the middle school kids have gone through the leadership class, so this is the last rotation. And it's part of our brand new intervention and enrichment program we have at school. So last week, the leaders hosted our very own superintendent, Mrs. Gaviola, and Mayor Wixom of Morro Bay. And both of them spoke to the class about leadership and about their trajectory of their careers. How did they get there? What did they have to do? How hard, how difficult, how easy? And they also shared with them a lot about handling setbacks and motivating other people. So they had a really good time. The kids talked about it a lot afterwards. They really were impressed by both of the women. Last week here at school, we had kindness challenge. And I didn't know this, but it's celebrated by 30 million students worldwide.
Wow.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. But each of the kids in all the classes got a checklist of 30 things they could do, and they could check off kindness acts that they did throughout the week. And our fourth graders and our kindergartners won. So they get a donut party and a pizza party, I believe. So that's was kind of good. Each of them, yeah, one each. There was a really cute picture at the far end of our main building, and there was the word kind, but the eye was missing.
Oh, I saw
So you could stand there and be the eye and be part of kindness. So it was really, a lot of pictures taken. It was really cute. Middle school movie night is coming up. They've got a movie night planned. They did one a few months ago. And so they've got another one coming up. They're gonna do some fundraising. They've got some extra snacks to sell to each other and have a fun movie night. And they are going to watch the movie Holes, which they read in their ELA class. So that'll be fun. Spring dance. Spring dance, they petition us continuously for dances. They would like to have one every month if they could. This one is a Hawaiian luau, and it's on April 25th. And they have invited board member Dan Hewitt, our very own Dan Hewitt, to be the DJ at the dance.
You are not, I didn't know that.
So now the pressure is on. The pressure is on because they are eagerly awaiting for his response.
I just got the email today.
And they do want to do another car wash. They had a really successful car wash at the beginning of the year, and they want to do that again. And they're going to be selling concessions on May 4th. No, when is our Alice in Wonderland play? They're going to be selling concessions to the play, which is on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Look at this. Yeah, I thought that.
And also, while we're looking for the dates on that, they're gonna be part of the teacher appreciation week. They wanna do something. So they're going to help teachers clean, organize classrooms, and make copies and assist with paperwork or read to students. And Alice in Wonder play is
April,
April.
April 3rd through the 5th.
Yeah, April 3rd through the 5th is Alice in Wonderland Play.
It's gonna
And
be
it's
so
at
good.
7 o'clock, and all the kids, first grade all the way through 8, are gonna be involved in that, and they are working super hard. For that, it's looking really good, so. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, that was a great super report.
They-
You should your hat now to the.
I'm changing myself. Let me get my notes. Mr. McGee is babysitting his children, and then he figured he better get them to bed, because he bathed them to bed, which, yes. He came to our game, so it was really fun to see everybody there. So we had a meeting yesterday with PTA. They have a few things coming up really quickly. The gala is coming up, and that will be March 29th right here at the Bordeaux Garage. So if you don't have your tickets, please call the school, or because the
QR code.
Hmm?
QR code.
code will get you right to that, and I think the tickets are $100 a piece. And there's a tri-tip dinner, there'll be music, wine, and a fabulous auction. They have a ton of items that they're gonna be auctioning off. At that, it's right here at Bordeaux, and we haven't had an event up there for a really long time.
And there's less than 35 tickets left.
Yeah, that's right, less than 30 tickets, so. So share and share life. The
special
Cayugas
auction,
turkey
yeah.
trot that they had, there's a two, in fact,
Russia.
Mrs. McGee put on the turkey trot in Cayugas. Had the second one, and the donation to Cayugas Elementary PTA, which is for the Lower Field Playground, was $7,000. So they did
Wow.
PTA, so it was wonderful. Easter egg hunt is coming up on April 12th. We do need somebody to dress as the bunny. So if anybody's willing to do that. The illustrious DJ. Yes. But that's on the 12th, so they're getting ready for that. Lots of fun things are getting ready for that, and the Cal Fire engine is gonna be there too, and pictures with the Easter Bunny. They also want to make sure everybody knows that there are going to be 4 board positions open for next year. So they're looking for individuals to help out with the PTA board and get some more people on board and board. And they will be there to help anybody that anybody would like to do that. There's a lot of young families that are going to try to help come on board and help with the PTA. It really is a lot of fun activities. So anybody that's out there, come and join us. The next meeting is a morning meeting at 8:30 a.m. in the music room in the front of the school there on March 11th. So if anybody's interested, please join us. There'll be coffee and sweets, and they'll have lots of information about the gala. Oh, and the fun run on May 30th. Thank you.
Information discussion, 7.1 board member reports. I did get my gala tickets, looking forward to it. Then I will go to the social dinner on the 24th. I attended the February 5th, Vegas Citizens Advisory Council meeting. And that was without a hitch. I did kind of take them to task for continually spelling Jen's name wrong. She's been Jan Fabiola. She's been all kinds of different. But doesn't have it because I've asked for them since October. Doesn't get any changed. And the one thing I have a issue with parking. Seems like a lot of times there's somebody parking in the handicap spot, not cool. If you don't have a handicap thing, and there was also somebody parked down here by the trash can where it says no parking. I've asked Jen to communicate with CCAC that that's not a place to park, but I'm gonna be less and less nice, I think, as it keeps happening, that you can't park right up there, it's not a parking space. Especially the handicap section.
Absolutely. And if it's during the school hours, we'll always announce or contact for towing. So we do contact for towing if you are parked illegally in the handicap spot.
That's it, that's all I have. Oh, one last thing, happy birthday yesterday, Mary, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I too bought my gala tickets, and I went to the safety meeting, which was a great meeting. There's a lot of discussion of of course, about making the school site much safer, and we have some money that needs to be spent. So there was a bunch of discussion about the supply room, and I didn't realize that the supply room hasn't been remodeled since it was built in what, 1932 or something like that.
All the teacher supplies.
Where all the teacher supplies are, and the copy machines and the laminators, and so
Was it needed?
so Martin, I believe, is Martin spearheading that? Or sure, I don't know who's in spirit, anyways, it's being looked at.
We have a design already. We're bringing back to the next meeting, which is February 19th.
February 19th, yeah, so, which is great, and, it's an exciting group that's so excited about safety, so. Because safety is our first consideration, so.
All right, gone to girls basketball tournament at Almond Acres, which they swept and won. Yeah, I did a good job, and then watched some of the boys today win it. Girls was a tough loss today. Yeah, otherwise
You got the ground, it's too.
I was like the first one.
You got your early bird price.
Yeah, I'm a little frugal.
Smart.
I know that.
My wife likes to say cheap, but yeah, they offered a thing. Like, I'm like, I know we're going, so
Right.
might as well do it.
Then you can bid more at the auction.
Correct.
It's in your budget.
I have nothing to report.
Next up is superintendent report.
Okay, really quickly, I feel like it's really exciting. I don't know if anyone's gonna be as excited, but, we've been highly encouraging our parents to participate in our LCAP survey. Yeah, and so in fact, we rewarded them last Friday by having donuts out, delivering donuts to cars to all the parents, because we were able to hit our 50 additional LCAP survey responses. So basically every year we have worked on doubling the amount of responses. So my number we started with was 15 responses, although the year before I'm told it was 10. Then we got up to 37 responses last year. And then I made the lofty goal of 75% of our parents participating. I am happy to report we hit it right before this meeting, which means we have 96 responses in. Our parents do get another reward, which is we are popping with poppies, which are these fun little natural soda drinks, as healthy as a bubbly drink can get. So we'll be delivering those out during pickup to all the parents and thanking them. I really wondered if we could hit the goal, but our parents took the challenge seriously, and it was such a compliment for all these other people to lift it. And I'd hear about, oh my gosh, I'm on this mom text, and they're like, have you done your survey yet? And I was just like, I love it. So it's awesome. I wanted this many responses because when we present those survey results in March, we can really speak to the overall sentiment of our parents. When you have such a small responding group, it's hard to do that. But now we are able to, and we have 100% of our English language families, where Spanish is a first language, who reported on the survey.
That's great.
So that I'm really proud of too. We did, as you'll see, the kindness rings. I just wanted these, the kids made all of these and wrote kind things, compliments, messages. So that's what you see around the room. And that was one of the highlights to Kindness Week. We have been really diving into data. So we have been looking student by student and setting goals. We are currently just wrapping up on our math data. Kids have been having conferences with each of their teachers about meeting their goals in math or in English. And the MAP data is just an assessment. It's a measure of achievement and progress is what it stands for. Really having reflective conversations so that we can see trends within student data. For example, in possibly a reading and language arts class, whether that's a grade level or even a middle school, You might notice some great strength in vocabulary and literary text, where informational text is trending as it's something that's not as strong. And our teachers have been super responsive to that, so super proud of them. And then last but not least, in the area of the gym update, we are sending out tomorrow the first 4 days of open gym. They are on Thursdays. So this message will go out to all parents. It will go out to the chamber, CCAC, and all our service clubs. And with the encouragement to spread the word. So the first open gym date will be February 27th. And then March 13th, March 27th, and April 10th. So it's basically every other Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. There's a few caveats to that Ms. Villalobos and I met on, which is that we are going to have a staff member there. That's really my comfort level of not having someone who doesn't work for the district. Our facility is a little uncomfortable because I've been entrusted to make sure our facilities are cared for. So it could change, but right now we'll have staff members there. We will notify people to bring their own equipment, that water is the only liquid allowed in the gym, and that every child under 18 must be with their parent because they have to sign a liability waiver. And that's the thing, is that Joe Blow can't sign someone else's child liability waiver. So if they are coming as kids, your guardian has to be with you. And it's really for the adults in the community. So this isn't, that's what the gym practice is for, or the open gym is for. The max in the gym is like, oh, it's huge. I mean, I think it's like, yeah, I was gonna say it's just under 400. So at this point, I don't think we'll have to worry about that. Liz and I are gonna take turns manning it and then training staff to start. I do want to note that if no one attends and we're there till 5:45, then the gym's gonna be closed. Cause we're not just gonna have people sit for 2 hours and not have people there. So that's what we're comfortable starting with. And I think it's gonna be great. We'll get everything out in the public with a nice little flyer that anyone can like pass out, put it wherever they want, with kind of these parameters around it. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I practiced my jump shot since I've only been playing 4th graders. Competition might be a little steeper, so. But that's where we're at for superintendent report.
Great, 7.3, administrative regulation, 5145, 513, response to immigration.
Great, so just as I talked about in correspondence, I just wanted us to make sure that we understood that we do have administrative regulations and board policy that are aligned to the requirement of California Department of Education. Ours is 5145 13. And you'll notice in here, it actually clearly articulates the steps that will occur. So in case you're ever wondering, like, what would happen if someone came, and years ago, there were a lot of true and untrue stories about fake ICE agents going to schools and like saying, hey, we want to know the status of this kid, and like how did the schools respond. So some of them true, some of them untrue. But basically, it's articulated out. I have trained our entire staff on it, and they know the steps that will happen. You'll notice that it's very specific, which is interesting, not a problem here, but in larger districts, is it falls directly onto the superintendent around releasing information around status or records or anything else. Here that's easy to do in that, because I'm located here as well, but there is a direct call to the superintendent that were to happen at any other school district where there's a district office. There does have to be a written subpoena or warrant for information. So likely what will happen in our case, which isn't listed here, is that we would take images, scan those images to our attorneys to make sure they verified the legitimacy of any warrant or subpoena before I made any decision about those. So I just want you guys to know that. But yeah, so they're all articulated here. And then last but not least, it's required also by the state of California to make sure that we have posted on our website and in our parent information, the Know Your Rights protections under the law. So that is located on our family resource page on our website. And it is included, the link is included on your family, in our family handbook, and then when people register, that's available. So that's just to make sure, because there's a lot of buzz in that area, and that's where we're at.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but do you know if this consumer alert is available in other languages besides English? I mean, I'm not, like.
Yes, it's available in Spanish, and it did say another language was coming soon, and I don't recall what it was. Yep,
Thank you.
great question.
7.4 budgetary reduction plan discussion 25%.
Okay,
I have consent agenda as
okay,
well.
hold on, just wait,
Look at
my
my
book.
minutes, so we have four.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the order, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. I just put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's-
Well, it's in the agenda, the,
8.1.
That's okay.
No, mine is 8.1.
Look, yeah, it's on there, you should be talking. Okay.
Yeah,
And if you use favor, when you get a chance.
But it's not-
we look up the figure.
it's not here.
If you can.
It's in the agenda.
There's not, there's no need to put it.
Yeah, there's no attachment.
There's no, that's just on the agenda.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, it's just, I has me confused.
That's why I'm writing my.
You honestly, I was confused. I was
Oh.
saying that something I didn't see in my binder. Okay,
Because I
great.
put it on.
It's okay. I hold it.
I know
Thank you.
I know.
All right.
This is for me, I know I'm not.
Perfect. So here we go.
Figured it out
Um,
last Monday.
We've talked about over the last few months, especially last spring, that we had some significant increases in educational costs in our district, particularly related to special education services. In roughly $575,000 in 1 year increase. So what that did was when we created our multi-year projection in our budget in June, in our budget passing, and referenced in the correspondence today by the County Office of Education, we had projected $300,000 of reduced cost needed to make sure that we stayed in our projections in the years out, above that 15% reserve, that is our board policy. And a fiscally, obviously sound decision so that we could support, obviously, the education of our students. Always a budget in California schools is a moving target. Because money will flow in that we didn't know, as we close our books, the bottom line increases a little bit because we haven't spent every penny, and so we're always making adjustments. And that's really what we looked at the first interim, is that we were able to see that we have, spent less money, at the close of the year, and then also had a, few less costs, so that we most likely, as I said, 2 meetings ago, we wouldn't need to cut all $300,000. So today you'll notice it's an informational item, as President Friend had just said. And so what we're doing is we're just talking about possibilities and looking at really coming closer to about $115,000 reduction. That would, in our second interim, which is in the March meeting, our next meeting, you'll see the impact of that. And that roughly $115,000 or so will get us above that 15% in those next year. So that's the good news. The bad news is that we still have to cut 115,000. With comparison around our county, you'll know that that is a very small amount of money. Our neighbors to the south are cutting $4.8 million. Our neighbors to the east of us are cutting $5 to $6 million. So there are huge budget reductions that are happening. A lot of it because of the flood of COVID monies that came in, the hiring of people, which it was for to help with remediate the learning loss, and then the reduction of people that needs to happen because the money is gone, obviously. Ours came in a different reason. We already made, my first year, we made the reductions necessary to worry about the COVID loss of money, and so we're fine with that. It's just you can't plan for an increase of almost $600,000 in a month. Your budget's only $5 million, so that was a huge shift that occurred. So, I mean, yeah, I guess you could, but I didn't see that coming, so. So today we're just gonna talk about some things. I do have Jenny here from San Luis Obispo County Office of Education. She is my right-hand gal when it comes to crunching numbers, thinking about possibilities. And she's already working some other scenarios as we've met on these ideas, which we'll bring forward in March. In March, if we are doing any personnel reductions, that needs to happen because of the notification with EdCode, it's the March 15th deadline. So there's only one in here that would be impacted by that currently, where you'll see is a lot of really creative and different thinking around how we can fund positions in our district. So one of them is that our estimate right now is that our special education costs are not going to be $575,000 more. The student who was placed in a more restrictive environment has done well and is in a different environment now, which is costing the district less. With that said, I will say that we've had additional students move in that have needs that are pretty expensive, but necessary for them to access their education. Those are things like vision needs or hearing needs or behavioral needs that are just new students in our area. That's the responsibility of our district. So unfortunately, we're not saving that full gap of money, but we are pretty comfortable with adjusting back about 35,000. But we'll see where that goes, and we aren't making any decisions today. So that's a small chunk of that 115 that's just simply not encumbering it as an expense anymore. The next one is that, and later in the agenda, you'll see our career technical education plan, that we have some flexibility about how we utilize those monies. And so I'm asking Jenny to look at what it would cost or how it would look if we increased the amount of money that's charged to that grant for salaries. Right now, we have about $10,000 charged to that, and upping that in that grant money. That most likely saves us for this year and next year, and then we're reapplying for the grant next year, and so it could be an ongoing money source for that position.
Could you remind me again how large that grant is?
$54,000. We have 47 left right
Okay.
now, but we did just purchase some sound equipment, so it'll be about 10 grand less than that once that hits the books. The teacher effectiveness grant is also a grant that sits right around that $50,000 range. And we are going to utilize, we're thinking about utilizing this, what we'll probably propose at our next meeting. About 10 to 20% of a teacher's salary who is going to be doing some instructional coaching for us. So it still gives us a good $20,000 for teacher professional development for next year. The money must be expended next year. So we would utilize this for part of this year's salary and next, but then it'd still have professional development money. You'll remember, you guys, both of you will remember Trustee Ross and Trustee Friend. We took a team of people to Get Your Teach On, to talk about motivation and inspiration around the classroom and instructional planning. That was one of those larger expenses we put onto this grant. So it will still absolutely give us that money, but most likely then we'll adjust the budget close to $10,000 between the 2 years for that salary. So you'll see we're just doing little chunks that are gonna build up to that 114 so that we're not doing a devastation of a program. You'll also notice that we have a pre-K planning and implementation grant where a portion of our transitional kindergarten teacher can be charged to that grant too. We do have the consideration of possibly a reduction in force. So a reduction in force means that as we look at every single position here and knowing that we need to reduce costs, are there positions that can be reduced and other individuals possibly absorb, or the need is no longer there for that full position? So what we will present at our next meeting as we really look into this is a possible recommendation of reduction in force, which means 0.2, which is the equivalent of 20% of 2 individual certificated teachers' contracts would be smaller. And that would be through a layoff process of a particular kinds of service. Means that we're laying off a certain position because the work there is not as demanding for the time that we are employing that person. So that's a consideration the district is looking at. We are also looking at, and I apologize on this one because it is not ELOC. There are so many, that's a extended learning opportunity program. We are actually looking at the learning recovery, so it's LREBG grant, which can actually help pay for our kindergarten teacher's salary, because she works, as you guys know, she works from our morning session, and then she does additional work with small group students in the afternoon. And so it's actually through an extended learning type program. So we can actually charge part of her salary to that grant, because that's the work. She's not just classroom teaching all day. And then the last two are pretty easy encumbrances. After school program is a program that we get reimbursed, and we take income from families. So reimbursed from families that are eligible for sponsorship through the county and state, through our county and state programs, and then parent pay. So we do have money within our after school program that can help offset the time we have employed for people who work the program. So that's actually billing people back to that program. It was the case years ago that was happening. Then you got a flood of COVID money coming in, and so some adjustments were made, and we had 3 different physical people come in from the county office and 2 superintendents. And so in all of that, basically, no salaries are charged now to after school programs, so we're gonna make that adjustment, which is completely appropriate and should be happening. So I probably should have caught that before. My apologies if I hadn't. So, and then last but not least, later on the agenda, you'll see that our 10-month employees, we're adjusting their contracts so that we're not doing or prepaid vacation days, that they are actually going to be earning vacation days and sick days. And then versus paying them out in advance for vacation days, which will be a rough savings of about $11,000. That easily gets us to 114. There are some other ideas that are gonna kind of come in the works. Again, we're working really hard to make sure that our cuts can not impact program and the stellarness of our school. And then at the next meeting, I'll actually be bringing recommendations to look at for those cuts. But right now, it's just information. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. I'm sure you'll think of like 5, like driving home. So definitely over the next like 3 to 4 weeks, if you think of ideas or questions around these monies and grants, that would be great. We can sit down and meet, because we really want all those different opinions and ideas as we move forward. Great.
All right, now we're up to the consent agenda. And motion to approve.
Motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Just really quickly to note before you approve, we're at 192 on our enrollment, which means we're up over 10% in the last 2.5 years. It's pretty awesome. And we have 1 more student starting next month, so we'll be at 193. Yeah, we moved into the area.
Any further discussion? Trustee Ross.
Aye.
Trustee Brett. Aye. Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Q.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
And now on to action session, 9.1, donation.
So this is a pretty remarkable section. You know, we were later in the agenda, we're going to talk about the play structure. We were really excited about replacing a play structure that was over 30 years old, and then we had some budgetary changes. So we put everything on pause and really looked at our budgeting, and unfortunately didn't move forward. And with that, we've had numerous conversations and presentations, and we have 2 community agencies that have come forward with significant donations to support the play structure. The first one is the Cayucas Rotary, who is now donating $50,000 to the play structure renovation. And then Cayucas Education Foundation that is donating $40,000. So that's a total of $90,000. As you heard earlier, we have our turkey trot that is coming through PTA, but really through the McGee family, who put on the turkey trot with another 7. So that our donations for our play structure are up to $97,000.
And the gal is gonna go towards that too, right?
It is. Yeah, and actually the revamping of the whole lower field area, which is great. In addition to that, like that is just mind blowing, and once this is official, you know, we have some ideas with the kids, doing some thank yous, and we did do a press release, for CEF as well as for Rotary, and for thanking them, obviously, for voting that as a yes, but in addition to that, in this same month, Cayucas Education Foundation also donated $2,400 to our music department and $6,900 for our Handwriting Without Tears program. So I mean, the generosity of this community is truly remarkable. And last but not least, because we live in this amazing place, the Community Foundation of Estero Bay donated $5,062 for our after school program directly to families who are struggling to pay for that, to offset that. So it's pretty awesome. This month alone, we had $104,423.59 donations. So I am gonna do a press release tomorrow that highlights all of these and just the glorious community we live in, but staff enthusiastically and appreciatively recommends approval of these donations.
Make a motion to approve and accept the donations.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Trustee Friend. Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Hewitt.
Aye.
Trustee Ross.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Awesome. Just awesome.
9.2 CFPA delegate election.
Okay, so we did some research here. Back in October 25th, CSBA, as a general statewide organization, sent out a interest survey to seated board members that said, hey, if you're interested in delegating, here's the links. So from that, then they basically get a delegation pool that they would vote on. Unfortunately, or fortunately, for us, there was only one person in our area that went forward. And so today they're asking for the boards to vote on the delegate and the ballot for that person in our area. But there's not a choice. A couple years ago, there was a choice between two. This year, there's only one. Yeah. So this is definitely what you guys will.
I'll make a motion we vote for our parks for the delegate.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Hewitt.
Aye.
Trustee Ross.
Aye.
Trustee Friend. Motion passes 4-0.
9.3 career technical development, 24.7, and CTE incentive grant expenditure 24.
So, Pete is the only one. So Pete was on my hiring committee, so anyone in the community who has beef with it, he was one of them. Hopefully not after the last few things we've talked about, but one of the things I highlighted in my interview with the Board of Education for Cayucas was my love of college and career readiness and my desire to make sure that just because our kiddos were coming from a little school, they weren't missing out on exposure to all different types of careers and college opportunities, because they launch into high school so quickly and are part of one person, part of usually 250 to 500 of a counselor's load, and that we wanted to prepare them and their parents for understanding like what opportunities are out there. So we were really pumped when we wrote the career technical education grant. We were only one of two in the entire state K-8s who were granted that grant. It was $54,000. And then we'll reapply for it next year too. But part of the requirements for that is to write a district career technical education plan. And then of course, do the reporting such as the expenditures that are happening here. We did have an amazing advisory meeting. It was one of my, I love meetings, and I know most people don't. Can you tell? I do love meetings, but it was a great meeting, right, Liz? Yeah, Liz doesn't love meetings as much as I do, but that was a good meeting. It was all about this vision of how we can increase students' awareness of how to be employable, and how to be enthusiastic about what they're learning and how it applies to the real world. And then we had Miss Megan DeVos there, who is our career technical education theater teacher, who has just gone above and beyond in creating these pathways. So the kids are, much like our previous teacher, Victoria Doust, learning the lighting and the sound and the design and the directing. And so there's this independence and confidence for the kids that are in those pathways. So all of that, also having field trip experience to articulated high schools and those connections. One of those is simply that Megan was meeting with the Morro Bay High theater teacher this past week and saw our kiddo who graduated from here 2 years ago on stage practicing while she was there, because they're sharing their stage equipment with us. So it's these linkages that are happening so that we can help families move to that next level and transition beautifully. So staff recommends approval of the CTE plan and the expenditure plan. And anytime anyone wants to sit down and talk about it, Chris currently is the kind of liaison for this. But it's a great meeting to have. We only really have a CTE advisory once a year, but we'll have one early fall to look at the rebudgeting of that grant and the application of the new grant. So I'll definitely let the board know about that.
I make a motion that we approve the career technical education plan for 2024 through 2027 and CTE incentive grant expenditure report for 2024.
I'll second it.
Any further? Trustee Pewitt,
Aye.
trustee Ross,
Aye.
trustee Friend, and trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
9.4, reduction of 10-month employee prepaid vacation holidays.
Yeah, as I talked about very briefly in the budget reductions, currently our 10-month employees, who is basically our paraeducators and then also our food nutrition assistant, are currently getting paid as a past practice their 10 days of vacation in advance. What that does is it does limit their availability to have days off during the school year. Now, of course, that's the incentive of it, which is that they're here when the kids are here, so you pay them for their vacation so they can't take it. I mean, that's really it, but I'm through a different mindset, and the mindset is that, in my 25 years of public education, which is hard to believe, it's already been 25 years, I've never seen a more qualified, dedicated, caring, lovely, group of 10-month employees. Like, they are as top notch as it gets. And so if their daughter is graduating from college or they have a sister who's sick, I want them to be able to take the time to do it and then to come back with a full heart and dedicate that to our kids. So sorry, I get a little teary eyed because they're amazing people. So with this, although it has this like budget savings of like 10 grand type thing, that's really not the point of it. The point of it is really about them having the right time to have vacation time and then still being able to accumulate sick time as employees should. And I've met with all the paraeducators except for one employee, but they were obviously invited to it. And I went over the incentive of this and how they could build sick leave, how they would see a reduction on their contract because there's 10 less days, how the district wanted to make that right by adding a day to their contract. All of them are here the day before school starts, helping teachers, even though it's not their duty day. So we want to validate that and say, no, we will pay you for that day. That's part of your contract. And if you don't use your vacation time in up to 5 days, which is copacetic or equal to our other classified members, we'll pay you out those. So we're not trying to do some scam here or anything. Once I discovered that this was the case and that people were taking the time and then they don't have sick time because they don't really have vacation time. And it was actually over half of them would go into pay deduct because they would use all of their time, we just had to clean it up. And so they were all incredibly supportive because they are the most amazing team of people we have, of course, equal to our teachers. So that's the staff's recommendation. We do not have a teaching union, a classified union. So technically I could arbitrarily do this, but that's not how I work. So instead I wanted to make it very public to have a record of it, to have the board be clear about where we're at. I think the little table probably shows best what's happening with it, and then move forward with it, knowing that that was the case.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Trustee Ross,
Aye.
trustee French. Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Pewitt.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-2.
9.5, resolution 24-08, approving the participation in and use of California multiple reward schedule contracts and delegating authority to enter into such contracts.
So I know that's a mouthful, but this is going to save us time, and it is a wonderful way that public schools can do business. It is not, however, recommend doing all business, and so I want you to know I was very particular about doing our playground project with this. So what this does is, this resolution is asking the board to approve us going through what's called the CMAS, or the California Multiple Award Schedule process. When you are going out to bid as a public institution, you have a whole process that you follow. And then you open up your bids, and you have local contractors, and you have contractors from all over, and then the least amount is the bid that's awarded. That's actually how it works, as long as it fits the parameters of the bid. What this does is it says that with certain items, much like this very specialized play structure and the frequency in which play structures are actually put into schools, they have actually done a lot of that work for us. And because this has happened so many times, it seemed unnecessary for us to continue this process of going out to bid, seeing what we could do, blah, 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 blah. And then spending time with your lawyers and all these other things. So we qualify to be able to do this if the board passes a resolution saying that we'd like to go through this CMAS process. It's very common, as I said, Buellton just passed 2 of them, just 3 weeks ago, and it's the most expeditious way for us to do this as well as fair. And I don't see an issue with it, in a criticizing sense of local contractors missing out on installing a specialized playground. So staff recommends approval of resolution 25-01, approving the participation and use of a CMAS agreement and a delegating authority to enter such contracts.
And this is just for the play structure.
This is just for the play structure. And this is not the approval of the play structure though.
This is-
only
Just for the process of it.
To go for the, but it's not just the play structure, it's also the installation, correct? Or
This-
did,
This right now is simply the process to go through. The next item is the actual contract of the play structure and the installation, yes.
okay,
But this is so that we actually have to pass this part first in order to consider the other. I'm so sorry, I did forget one thing. We did receive yesterday an updated CMAS agreement. The CMAS agreement, and I have to enter this in, if you guys accept this document, we do have, copies for the public. And you have it, put it right in front of you guys. The only difference is that the CMAS agreement prior, it actually expires at the end of February. The project wouldn't be done by then, it was the original one, so they were updating it for us. And so it's the same CMAS agreement, but it expires, in February 2026, so it gave us a little bit more time at the end of the month. So I'm like, we'll attach this at the end of the meeting to the agenda, as a replacement item. But we couldn't change it once it's posted, that's what we do, yeah.
well, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-01, approving the participation in
2408.
2408. Oh, I'm on the next page. I'm sorry, I went ahead. Okay, so I make a motion to accept resolution 2408. Wait,
Sorry, there's an error on the agenda. So, it is 2501.
okay, I was looking at,
Yeah,
okay,
it's the first resolution of this year. There was an error in the subject matter.
okay,
Yeah, thank you.
great. Anyways, so, I make a motion to accept resolution number 25-01, approving the participation in and use of, CMAS contracts and delegating authority to enter into such contracts.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I just had a quick question. Are we looking at replacing it where it is currently or?
That's the next item.
Okay, so
Yeah.
great. I'll ask, that'll be answered
Absolutely.
next. Okay.
Trustee Brown. Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Hewitt.
Aye.
And trustee Ross.
Aye.
Motion passes 4.
All right, now we're ready. Okay, so now we are 9.6. So, what you have in front of you is considered a piggyback agreement. It means that once an agreement with a company has been, all these terms, I tell you, but, once an agreement that has been accepted as a fair, priced agreement with a company, through a CMAS process, has been approved by a district and multiple districts, that's why it's called the California multiple subject, or multiple subject, now I'm getting pronounced a little. That's so funny, schedule, we are then able to utilize the bid by what's called a piggyback bid, which is that it's already been considered a fair bid. So that's what you have in front of you now, which is on the actual play structure. So I'm gonna go ahead and stand up, because there's a lot of information here, and I feel like people better drop this thing to get with while I'm standing. But, Rory is gonna do an amazing job showing us all this fun stuff. So, in October of 2023, we did a survey of all of our parents and our staff. And I think the board member Friend and board member Ross, you'll remember that, and board member Hewitt and Schuler might have remembered it as parents. So in that survey, we gave lots of questions around our facilities and what people wanted to replace about our facilities, what were things they saw as a need within our facilities. Again, this is moving down the train of us having a substantial reserve prior to some of our increased costs in educational placements. So in that survey, the play structure wholeheartedly was number one, and what we're talking about is the lower field play structure. In our research of that lower field play structure, we have found that the swings are over 30 years old, and that the play structure itself is roughly 27 to 30 years old, and that's through all of our Cayugas historians and previous employees who have mostly played on a structure. So it is quite old. And from that, we started looking at different opportunities that were out there. I have a little tagline that most of you know, one of them is better together, because I believe that. But the other one is Best Little Beach School. And probably the only thing that doesn't represent the Best Little Beach School is that very tired, but yet wonderful at some time play structure. So, we did a lot of research back when Ishmael was here, Martin and I and Liz, and we showed staff different ideas on it. And we landed on this one. It is actually a play structure that is located currently, we're not getting that one, but at the Pacific Palisades Park of Shell Beach. If you actually wanted to see it in real life, it's there in their neighborhood park. And we brought that forward to you guys. And on March 13th, 2024, the board said, great, let's move forward with it. Unfortunately, a month and a half later, our budget kind of fell out with that educational placement, so it was placed on hold. So with that said, we did get, I got to work and really trying to get some more generous donations from community supporters, which you saw today. Liz went with me to the Rotary presentation. Over the Christmas break, we presented to the Rotary Foundation, and then we both presented to CEF and just laid out all of the things that we had, and they generously donated $90,000. So of this, you'll see some pops here, and I want to make sure we all understand it. First of all, the play structure right now it can actually be in 2 locations. So the question that Trustee Ross had is, are we looking at placing it where it actually is now? And possibly yes. It's a strong possibility of yes. When we look at the overall placement of it, it'd be nice if it was closer to our school, more located, like where the kickball/softball field is. But when you start to look at the pre-construction work, it would be more expensive. With that said, February 19th, I do have the installers coming here to give us their viewpoint on the location. So when I ask you to approve this, I want you to know that we want to do the best location based on the experts that are installing it. So the two locations, very likely it will be where it's located. But the other location would be where the softball field is, which then means eventually we'd be looking at an additional cost to possibly put in some type of softball field. The other hang up with that one is just looking at the overall, we have a beautiful field. Once we rototill it, get it a little flat, since those darn squirrels went a little crazy this past fall. But it kind of, it segments it out a little bit, but we'll see. I really think the experts should decide that, honestly. But anyway, with the play structure, a couple quick elements, if you'll see here. We have two bids in front of you. You have one that is roughly 124,000 and the other one that's 120 or 102. I do want you to note that the two differences are the swings and what are accessible ADA ideas here. So one of them is, this is the more expensive one. We still have our bay of 6 swings here. You'll notice that 2 of them are going to be ADA accessible swings. Although those, I believe from what they tell me, are interchangeable. So we'll see what that happens. They have a secure back to them, or for younger children too. Then there are 2 other pieces here. You have like a group teeter-totter, and then you also have what's called an oodle swing. And the oodle swing is also can be in with group people in it, but you can also transfer very easily on both of these from wheelchairs. And then you can also, you have you lack strength within your torso, have a lay down experience versus just sitting up like on a swing. So you'll see that's the increased price there. The reason why we'd like to do that is, well, one, we believe that all of our play structures should have availability to any child that comes there. And 2, the heart of the donation of the Rotary Foundation and the inspiration came around their ADA accessible swings. And the installation around those that they came up with huge problems of the beach install there. So really, we wanted a play structure that was accessible to all. And if it's anything like the structure we have now, it's gonna be here for the next 25 years. So we might do it right. So right now, we're sitting at a $97,000 donation. We do believe that the PTA is most likely going to donate it at least 3,000 more. So we'll sit there very comfortably at $100,000, which means we'd be looking at about a $23,000 impact to the district. Which we would utilize after school funding. Our fund balance and after school funding right now is $114,000. But those monies need to be utilized for after school program, which they would utilize this. Liz and I get like emotional about this. In fact, she's so strong. And I was sitting at Rotary and I had presented and I sat down and I'm like, was that okay? And she was like silent. And I'm like, oh man, that's rough. And I look over and it's because she just has tears going down her face because they just approved the 50,000. Years ago, they were this close like we are right now. And unfortunately, there were some different changes in prioritization and the building was a priority, which is fine and great. But so it slipped away very quickly. And we believe outdoor play and a structured area that's safe is kids can learn almost as much as they can in the classroom setting. So we're pretty pumped on it. I will beg if I need to, but please. I'll answer any questions. One more thing before the questions fire in though. These estimates do not include, so I have to be very clear, they do not include the prep work necessary. The prep work necessary runs anywhere from 27 to 32,000. I will get a final number on that on February 19th. The reason those aren't included is I'm not trying to do some weird shell game with you and be like, oh, it's only 23,000 and then it's really 50. It's because although I can't say now, but there are 2 local companies that have shown great interest in donating that in-kind service to our school. So the gifts just keep coming to our community and our school. They will be there on the 19th with me to survey the needs and make sure they can do it all. If not, they will like look at what they can do and then the cost will be minimized. And so, obviously I'll bring back any extraordinary increase, to the board, but, it's not something I think we'll see, but that's kind of where we're at. Questions? Oh, timeline. I bet timeline timeline is actually quite exciting. If we move forward today, everything goes great on the 19th. We could be looking at the end of June as fully installed, ready to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Not,
I know, shocking. Yeah. Yep. So.
Maybe 2
You could be swinging by June.
Yes, I haven't fully thought out, but I mean, obviously for the major donors of not even just the pre-construction work or the renovation work. The major donors here, we will absolutely have some type of ongoing gratitude plaque or something down there to dedicate that to them for sure. But that's all I have. Is there a certain one that you're kind of leaning towards?
Select number one. That's the more expensive one with the Revy wheel spinner and the wheels.
yeah,
I think so too. I mean,
I like there to be options.
me too.
I'll make a motion to approve option number one for the play center.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
Click on your thing.
Trustee Schuler.
I'm just curious, but is that thing is like a large hamster wheel or something?
No, that's just, I think that's aesthetically pleasing. It also is how the structure is supported without tipping. You didn't want to the other angle, but yes, so this is the angle swing. And it's actually just a suspended, like, I don't want to say foam, but like a,
Oh, I know, I get that,
Plastic
just
tape? Okay.
kind of the round thing to that,
oh yeah.
that's, okay.
I won't begin to understand the engineering aspect, but I'm sure it's stability.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Is there one around I can go play on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be.
All right.
Pacific
I'll go.
Palisades.
All right. I'll test it.
It's very cool.
You've already been down there doing?
Yeah, I went to take a look at it and there were like,
Okay.
I don't know, 12 kids running around on it that it was a Saturday.
Of what the play structure part looks like, and then where if it is located in that back corner, what it would look like.
Okay.
That's my daughter's digital removing at the back.
Just, I mean, I'm just picturing Gretchen as a playground bully. And
Should we go test the one in Pismo, make sure?
yeah, I think we're going down.
Hold both of us at the same time on the swing.
So small to me. And so I was going down there anyways. I mean, I think I spent 10 minutes taking a look at it. And
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, gosh, I don't know, and I went down there, I'm like, this is amazing.
yeah, it's very, very cool. So
Ooh, Which park is
it's Shell Beach. It's
So that Pacific Palisades is the neighborhood that's between like the Shell Beach Elementary and then the sort of Avila where you go up. Where you
Yeah.
turn left to go. No, it's the other way. So it's like you've left Shell Beach and you're on Avila on the frontage road. And there's those neighborhoods on the left-hand side and it's called Pacific Palisades. And it's like this great neighborhood park that's off that frontage road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trustee Schuler.
Oh, I. Me or I? Yes.
Aye.
Trustee Brett.
Hi, motion happened. Okay, 9.7, LTAC mid-year report.
Okay, unfortunately for you guys, there wasn't that many things to report on the LCAP bid report. What we were able to do is update the CAS data, which we went over in September, and put that in our report. But a lot of our measures were based on the survey, and the survey's out right now. So really in our April to May updates on LCAP, will fully articulate the survey update and the data as we rewrite the LCAP. But as a state requirement, we had to do this report and submit by March 1st, or February 28th, sorry, the LCAP report. I can answer any questions about it. We are doing everything we laid out to do. So some LCAPs, because they're so huge, they'll say, oh, we're gonna hire 20 people in this, and then the report says, oh, we've only hired 5, because that's all we could find. In our case, we have all of our paras in there, our intervention teachers are listed there, and we've had them employed and they continue to be employed.
I make a motion to approve the LCAP mid-year report.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Trustee Pewitt?
Aye.
Trustee Ross?
Aye.
Trustee Grant? Trustee Schuler?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, item 10, review of action items, asking and So Pewitt, you're next to the CCAC meeting. Brittany, better just report back at Brittany.
They've been great though, I will say,
Oh,
things
they were-
I like about them though is every time I send them the newsletter, because I'm on their mailer. They send it all out, I mean, so they've been a great conduit and cheerleader for our school, but
Oh,
yes.
and they were so appreciative of just using this room
Yeah.
too. I mean, so they love that. So it's like when I called them out on it, they're like, oh. Yeah, but they are very appreciative of using, they are looking forward to the bus halls open again because, they used to store their coffee and stuff, so there's really no.
Oh, is that where you're gonna do it?
That's what they used to be,
That's
but they like to go back, but they had like a cabinet, whatever, they would store certain things in there, that's just not feasible here. But they are super appreciative.
Yeah, they're great.
I was curious, are we out of coast to coast this year? Are we still considering it? Is that too late or what?
It is not too late. In fact, I just got an email, I think today, again, they're encouraging registration. So for Dan and Pete, Coast to Coast is the national advocacy kind of journey. Where CSDA and AXA, which is the administrator organization, come together. They go to march on Washington. They do not march on Washington. They go to Washington.
Take it over.
And then Carrie and I, we went last year and, we both found it incredibly, amazing. There's a crazy amount of speakers. I mean, you're talking to the director, of the Department of Education, finance committee leaders. I mean, just really seeing the full breadth of, our part in a public school and in public, or just government. Then you're able to also speak directly with your national or federal representatives, and you collectively are assigned with different groups of people. You learn about advocacy and all that. So we went last year, the two of us. We hadn't sent somebody from Caiaphas before, and we came back pretty pumped on it, honestly. I felt like it really helped fill my professional cup and enthusiasm too, of just that reflecting of what else can we do and advocate for and be part of.
They have talking points, like for where, one of them last year was like unfunded, mandates.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And like special ed, a lot of districts, you have to do this, but it's not funded, and just talking with other people in our county, and even some in Santa Barbara County, how they're dealing with it was, nothing, you have to go to DC to figure that out, but the fact that was there was 2 or 3, I think, talking points that they were sticking on, that we would talk with the groups and then with our representative, which I thought was really helpful, and especially for the representatives to hear, here's a whole group of people with the same, not like, oh, my school wants this, my school wants this, and my school wants this. It's a focus. This is what our topic is this time, and this is what we think, what we need your help with.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of discussion afterwards. We did a presentation. I did a really pretty flyer about all things, because it was really pretty amazing, I would say. And we brought it back to the board. There were 2 different board meetings where we spoke about it. We talked about the board committing to going as an entire board to CSBA. for looking at this, because also there's a large part of that is in the camaraderie and just being in space with your board members. And having those conversations that are not a violation of the Brown Act, because you're talking about these national issues that are just imperative to your work here. There was, some discussion about that. People kind of left it open to, I believe, like, you should go to one or the other. But it seemed kind of elusive in the end. I could have Mary pull minutes on it. I don't have it perfectly recalled in my memory.
If I remember correctly, it was left open to be open. So there could be further
Okay.
discussion in the future.
Right. So it is April 28th through April 30th. And yeah, they are currently still registering. There's still current people in the hotel. I believe they chose a different hotel. It looks like that's a little less pricey. Because our room was a little pricey, but it's like the conference room where everybody stayed. And so then you didn't have to do like a Uber every day, which then I would make. So that was nice, but I do believe they selected a different hotel.
So, but is that something that have to come back to March agenda, or is that something, I don't remember how we left that in our minutes.
I think it was just open to discussion further. Yeah.
You know, we'll look at it. We'll absolutely look at it. I guess what we need to do is decide like how many of you guys are interested, and if you're interested, we'll verify the minutes. If it did need to come back, we could look at that part of it.
And we just want to get to it for this.
Right, but, well, let me just verify because I thought it was. I don't know, do you remember?
What I remember was there was no real commitment about anything.
That's what
I thought there was no commitment, but it was still approved.
I
Yeah.
did too.
I thought it was approved. Cause I think I was here for that one and
Like, if people decide to go, they can.
Right. So-
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
then,
I don't think there was a,
Okay.
I don't think.
okay, we'll verify that that's the case. I think that's most people's collective memory or whatever. If for any reason it's not, then, I'll email the board and let them know, but I'll get the minutes from what we have.
I mean, I would be interested in going again. I thought it was great.
I would be interested in going. But I did go to AEC this year.
I'd
I
go.
never believed in that for learning, but I mean, I don't know what the minutes say, so I don't think I should, I personally, yeah. I think that was just one of the.
Yeah.
One of the board members' comments.
Or was it the,
Oh,
Oh,
no, this is-
last year.
I don't know, we'll find it, don't worry about it, we'll find it, we'll get it to you guys this week.
cause wasn't
Tomorrow.
it what position were you in last year, Carrie? No, but on the, we have the first meeting,
Oh,
I don't know what it was.
Legislative.
it was, I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But how people like,
yeah, like leg action, like, are you legislative action, are you board of bylaws?
Are you
Yeah,
CTA or
state,
whatever?
yeah.
yeah, I thought it was, for my, it was like specific, like that one.
Legislative.
Oh, Dan is,
Dan
but
is.
he was asking if Carrie was that.
No, Carrie was not that last year. That
Yeah,
was,
no.
that was
Susan,
Susan.
right? That's what I
Yeah,
thought,
this
yeah.
is the year prior, yeah.
Yeah, we just opened it up to whoever wanted to
Okay.
go last year. I think the other thing that it does is it solidifies
Yeah.
and helps the role of the.
Yeah.
Dan, you're interested as well?
Did
Yeah.
Western Health right now, I'm like.
So this was, the superintendent, we were pre-recording the presentation of how to do events from coast to
That's a
coast.
good one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because then
Yes,
they-
you should
they
watch
couldn't-
it.
I'll have to look at the next one, because then no one decided.
Yeah, they tabled it, yeah,
So that was.
after my
April.
wonderful video.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Pete, would you be interested as well?
Kind of, yeah.
Well, there's still a Department of Ed.
Good one.
Well, I think to be honest with you, I think it should be fascinating this year.
Maybe, I know,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
I will say, the other thing as Carrie searches for
I'm just
that.
gonna hide behind you.
Because I could go say- it wants to be into a more active role with our local access chapter. And that has been wonderful for our district and our area, because Liz and I have now been, we're both on the board for our county area. We've nominated people, we've been able to recognize students, I mean, it's just been and that all launched, I came back and I was so enthusiastic, and Liz goes, well, that's great, because I have an opportunity for you. And I'm like, oh, yes. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work, but it's great work. Because it's the right work to do. We live in a very small, close-knit community, and to build those connections and bonds.
Oh, I
is
think
great.
it's very
Yeah.
important.
I agree.
I can tell you right now, early registration is still happening.
Oh, thanks, Mayor.
So it
And
says-
until the 27th of this month.
So it says, in the minutes, staff recommends the board approve the attendance of the Coast to Coast Conference for 2 to 3 board members, or approve attendance for the entire board to attend the CSBA conference. Susan Brunel asked if the cost was worth it, Carrie Craig explained that they got a chance to brainstorm. Chris Castillo agreed CSBA conference would be a better choice for the board. We could approve the amount now and always decide later as a board which conference to attend. Susan Brunel motioned to approve the amount to be set aside for a board conference, and Carrie Craig seconded the motion.
How much?
There's no money, there's no amount.
Oh, I think it was something I read. Is it $5,000 to $10,000? Is it, they're gonna do this to a lot.
Which meeting was that?
This is the, May. Minutes of May.
So we
No, you
talked
do
about
that.
it in April.
Yeah, like we had an SSH.
Well, when was the event?
April. I will say I got exposed to COVID in the members dining room, and that's the first time I got it. I fought that off the whole time. Flying back, we didn't leave, I'm standing next to Jack O'Connell, we're in some other airport. Oh, by the way, all of you that were in the members dining room got exposed.
I know, I was like, oh, great, she's like, I know all. You just said you were, so then when she called me, she goes, I just need you to know I have COVID. We were together for like 3 solid days.
That's the only time I got it. I was so good, and then went to coast and got it.
We did on the original item, in April, we said $2,500 to $7,500 for the professional development of staff. Sorry, board.
So then how much did we spend at CSBA?
I do not have them out for that. But that was just the range that I had put on the original item.
Well, so where does that stand then? What, how do you?
It sounds like the board said we could go. I mean, that's what it sounds, it just said 2 to 3. It wasn't the actual motion though. Do we know?
To approve the amount to be set aside for a board conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought it back.
Yeah, because it was tabled. The only thing missing is staff recommends the board approve the attendance of the Coast to Coast Conference for 2 to 3, this is the staff, for 2 to 3 board members, or approve the attendance for the entire board to attend the CSBA.
So the entire board didn't attend the CSB.
Yeah, only 2 people attended, so.
Yeah.
I don't think it goes against it. I will email you tomorrow while I'm doing when I'm doing the board snapshot, I'll listen to that board meeting to see if there's anything that stands out as a violation of what we're doing. And then I'll let you guys know. I'll send you guys a call.
My only question would be like, if it was approved, if it's already in the budget, or if that would be added to it, since we're gonna.
Oh, no, yeah, so
Yeah.
there's professional development and conferencing for board members.
Okay.
The budget, but I don't know how much is in covered. I can have the budget here, but I'll get all the
Okay.
information and send it forward.
Anything else? Oh, the whole board members are not attending. Oh, I got that, no.
Yes, so
Maybe
February
RSVP.
24th. You're supposed to, yeah.
I got an email today.
They will,
It just came out today, and they want any pre-questions that they can answer for you. ahead of time, so they can-
that Madonna in, it's a professional training on the 24th.
It's not ethics, right?
it had the topics listed there, it was
I-
Brown Act. It's not the ethics training. Don't worry, it's not the ethics. You and I are not going to that.
We're very ethical.
We got it. It's down. Every training you go to.
Ethics.
Poor Dan. Oh, wait. Yes.
Of trusted communications, superintendent and staff, 3 Rs of being a school board member. What is an engaged board member, legal and transparent around review. All right, anything else?
Who's going?
I'm planning on going.
Great, me too. You're
Yeah.
going. 24, Madonna in.
So Monday evening.
There'll be
I'll
dinner.
get back to you on it.
Strong maybe.
If you can get on your email and RSVP on the form,
April 24th.
they need to know.
February.
February.
Didn't the RSVP already
The
go?
other thing was,
Yeah,
This is a form that just got sent today.
Probably now it's like 2 hours, but now it's Dr. Brennan says.
This is from Carl.
Okay,
All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you guys.
thank you.